with Mrs. Sonia Vaessler. Sonia, if you could maybe switch on your camera for us, please. Sonia, can you hear me?
I can clearly hear you. Thank you, Dion.
There we go. There we go. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you have been on the journey with us for the whole week, so I'm not going to go through all the house rules again. The speaker, our next speaker, has a slightly different purpose to all the other guest speakers that we've had, in the sense that our focus there was on bridging the learning-doing gap. But we are very privileged this afternoon to have a representative from the Project Management Institute, South Africa, with us. And I have asked her to come and join us on this guest lecture series to give us as an audience an introduction to the Project Management Institute, and also to give some insight into professional certification, the options that they have, the benefits, the career possibilities and potential that it opens, and and just to come and share her experience as a Deputy Vice President of the PMI in South Africa, working with volunteers. So Sonia is a person with 27 years of corporate experience in various roles related to management, leadership, and specifically project management. Project management is her passion. She works predominantly in the IT space, and she has currently working for Webtonic, but extensive experience at MTN, Nedbank, Cell C, Absa, Standard Bank, FNB, Dimension Data, Vodacom, Data Cash, and the list goes on and on and on. So Sonia, heartily welcome to you. And I really hope that you enjoy the conversation with our students this afternoon.
Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
A very, very good afternoon. I almost said good morning to everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm going to start with one saying, ants in my pants. Why am I saying that? It's when you are itching and driving to try and do different things that having a PMP certification opens up a world of opportunity for someone with ants on their pants. So if you want to experience stuff, I can really, really, really recommend it. My journey with PMI and PMP started just basically after I left school in the year of 1994. In 1995, I opened up a computer for the first time in my life, and I was busy doing civil engineering. But by 1996, I decided I'm more interested in the computer works than I am in just engineering. And so my journey in switching over into IT started, because by 1997, I worked at an engineering firm and switched from a role of a junior engineer over into project management. And so my journey in project management started. Well, today I want to talk to you a little bit about how my combined history with project management happened at the same time as how I got my certifications back in the day, how I've added on to it, how it's enriched my life and will continue to enrich my life and career, and what value it has to you. Yes, what is the history, place, and value of PMP certification is what the UFS Business School has asked me to talk about. Now, that being said, because I'm looking at the slide deck all the time, I may not necessarily see anybody putting up their hands, but please, I like you to ask questions. I want you to engage. I've moved from the traditional waterfall that a lot of people used to know. However, coming from a very, very IT background environment, I would say from my engineering days already, I was very, very agile. And therefore, everything doing it in terms of, we started with tribes those years in doing SDLC, and now having moved over into the disciplined agile environment for an agile disciplined team structure that we've put in place across South Africa in our current organization. It has been a continuous growth that has helped us through handholding with PMI. Now, let me maybe take a step back and stop talking about PMI. I'm going to talk to you just now about PMI. I'm just going to briefly tell you the history of where PMI started. Did you know that the first PMP came out in 1984? It was the only certification at the time that was available in 1997 when I first did my project management, and I did it through a company called UCT. Now, please, UFS, please don't throw stones at me. I was meant to end up in UFS, and the Cape Town Ocean called me. But in a little bit of personal pictures later, I'll show you why. Now, I'm very, very briefly just showing you through the years also the other certifications that have come out. So in other words, Associate in Project Management, Program Management, I've done that one, PGMP. Your in 2008, you had both a scheduling professional and risk management professional that today in PMOs are still very, very prevalent in all the corporates I've worked for. In 2011, there was the Agile certification. And funny enough, my journey in Agile project management started then already. I was at that time a solution architect in IT, and I moved back into playing a product owner, solution architect, PMI, associated Agile certified practitioner. And that has just grown over the years, and constantly it stayed in delivery. So with the years of growing my PMP as baseline certification, I have kept hands holding with PMI and acquired the other certifications as they became available, and felt that it actually supported my career journey wherever I was. Now, again, I'll speak to that a little bit later, if that's okay, because most of my career, the last 15 years, I'd say, I've been traveling Africa a lot. As much as I'm matriculated here in South Africa, is there any hands up? Anybody got any questions around the slide I'm showing you? Can you see my slide?
Sonia, we see your slide, we hear you clearly, we also see your video, and the audience is well aware. They must please raise their hands if they want to ask a question, or type a question or a comment in the chat box, and I'll field it for you. Oh, and as we speak, Chris has a question.
Great stuff.
Abigail as well, Chris, Dion.
And
what's your question, Chris?
Just, yeah, it's so if you see Abigail, it's actually Chris. It's a long story. Thanks so much. I wanted to ask, does the PMI still offer the certification in risk, specifically in risk itself?
Yes, it's still available. So just to confirm, in terms of my role, I am a vice president of PMI, and the one that Dion mentioned, that was my previous role 2 years ago. And I work very closely with the head of training and ATP. And all of the certifications that you see here is still available and internationally recognized.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to possibly with UFS do more of these training courses together. I'm hoping to see them offer it in the future, because there is such a need for South Africa and Africa. And that's what I was getting to. I'm from Namibia. I came to the country in 1990 and completed my high school training here in South Africa. So I'm very blessed to have received the best of both countries. But because of my passion for Africa, I've worked in Africa most of my life. A couple of pints of beer in London never tastes as good as it does in Kenya, or even here in South Africa with a good Windhoek beer. And with that, I have found that the discipline of project management is universal, especially here in Africa. I actually regret not bringing a couple of slides in around the Africa regional team, but from a leadership perspective here in the Project Management South Africa branch, we slot into the PMI Africa regional based team. And you would be amazed what a high standard of project management quality and leadership has been set here in Africa, as opposed to our counterparts in Europe and other places and America. So we've often won awards. And one of the things is our training with ATP partners such as, and there's a very few hand-selected partners like UFS, is top-notch, even in comparison to what is provided in America or Switzerland or some of the other countries I've benchmarked our training with. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a quick history of the certifications. I'm going to tell you a little bit in some pictures I'm going to share with you of my life and how that's fitted in. How does PMP actually affect my life? Why am I doing that? I'm taking a different spin. So I want to show you that if you go to university and you get a degree, it's not just oh, the fun times I had at varsity, or it's just 6 months of killing myself. It creates value in your life. And what is it that PMP does as a value in your life? Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure that with UFS, you now know you're going to have to go through these 9 steps to become a certified professional. You've got masters of training addressing you, and I'm here by all means. I'm just a servant here to tell you a little bit about how it's made a difference in my life. That's why I'm just a guest presenter. I'm telling you a little bit about how cool it is and why I really am glad that you're doing this. But you're going to have to take the following 9 steps. You're going to have to go through the handbook. You're going to have to fulfill some prerequisites. I'll take you through the prerequisites just now, just to make sure you're on par with knowing what is needed before you get that thing. You are going to have to become a member of the PMI chapter. And if you've got questions around that right now, very happy to answer it for you. You're going to have to sign up for your PMP exam, and I know UFS will handhold you through all of that. The PMBOK is going to be broken down for you in practical steps, and the PMBOK has become very agile with version 6 right now. In actual fact, the strategic journey version 4 that's just out now is all about agile. So disciplined agile is the big focus being pushed out throughout. You're going to get your study material, attend the PMP workshops, answer PMP exam questions, which you guys are really lucky because back in the day, I didn't have all of this. I had to do it myself and search for hours online for mock exams and then take those exams. So I am sure you won't even need to reach out to anybody from PMI. UFS as the ATP will do a sterling job to make 100% sure you get your certification. But why do this? This is quite a fun but stringent course, isn't it? Now, I want to ask everybody, so far, is it tough or is this a walk in the park? Tell me. Come on, you can tell me. Do you want to switch off your camera? I want to hear. Guys?
They're all just flying through it. They're superb students. Sonia, I also want to introduce you to Prof. Piet van Vieren, who is their primary facilitator on the program.
Oh dear, that's why Prof is here. That's why nobody will say anything. Prof van Vieren, please be kind.
I know, Sonia.
Andre Volo is just laughing.
We're trying our best to get them not to get A's, but we're failing, Sonia. They're all just flying.
A's! That's all I've got to say because out of all these A's. Okay, now that's great. So tell me, when you get your A's and you get your certification, who's joining PMI next? Do you know why I'm asking you? As managing the volunteer team, that's 1,000 PMI professionals across South Africa. I do the onboarding. So, guys, come join us. We have so much fun stuff to do with you. And when you have your PMP certification, there's a lot of cool stuff it adds to life. Sorry, I have teenagers in the house. Actually, I have two 20-somethings, and you will find that it does look at how it affects your life. I'm continuously thinking whether a kind of certification like this adds a value to someone that is a Generation X like myself, or my millennial stakeholders that I work with, or someone that is from the next generation of teens that will be our future stakeholders. Because face it, guys, we can't think of retiring anytime soon. The way life is right now has changed so much that we have to continue learning and growing. And you have to continue asking yourself, is a certification like this actually helping me with my personal growth? And is it something that I can scale going forward? Yes, it is. So first of all, it's not only going to beef up your resume. It's going to validate your experience because it's PMI approved. You know that. Then, when you join PMI, you have so many opportunities for networking, not only across the country, then across Africa, then across internationally. And I'm saying this as also being part or a member of the management team for IRBA International, as well as for SUCSA. So looking at the different forum of communities, the PMI community is the most established, well-structured, and best work networking environment you can bring yourself into. So lots of job opportunities. On the PMI site itself, pmi.org, you can log in and jobs there are advertised. So immediately as part of PMI, you are then opened up not only to networking, say at, I almost said ESCOM, say at APSA or Vodacom or MTN. If you go, if you are at the network events and you're networking, you find opportunities for other work potential. Then when you are also logged in as a member, you will see that roles are advertised there. We really, really recommend people to join PMI as a volunteer. And it is about an hour or two a week. And your PMP accreditation helps you to, with volunteering, have the backlog knowledge to grow the capability of project management across the community. So you will prove your commitment, you will enhance your skills, you will increase your earnings, and I have some interesting stats for you I decided to go and pull, and you will expand your reach into the market with the certificate. Talking about personal experience of project management for, and please don't calculate how old I am right now, 26 years of project management. Yes, I look like a recycled teenager. Any questions before I move on?
Thank you for engaging so nicely and so fluently, Sonia. Ramon is asking. Okay, firstly, Chris says he's up for certification, so that's in the pipeline for him. And then Ramon is asking what costs are involved: membership, exam, certification, etc.
Okay, I do know, and Ramon, there's a reason why I don't have the latest price list on me, is because we're running specials. I would need to go to the regional newsletter that's just come out, because there was like a 25 to 45% discount being offered. So do you mind if I please pass that information on to UFS and they can distribute it to you, just so that you have, just now I tell you it's $126 in terms of your membership, or it's a $60 exam fee, and meanwhile you can actually get a huge discount. Would that be okay?
That's perfect. Thank you, Sonia. We have another question here. My system just won't allow me to see the name. If you have your hand raised, please ask your question.
Hi, Sonia. How are you?
Hi. Amped to be here.
Hi,
It's
Sonia. It's
Lester.
Lester speaking. Yeah.
Hi.
Sonia, hi. I just want to find out, what is the duration of this course? Do you perhaps know?
It depends on the ATP partner, and I'm going to hand that over to UFS, because you can have the course structured in anything from 6 weeks to 6 months that I've experienced. Dion, would you mind just clarifying this course duration for us?
Yes, I would gladly. If you're part of a cohort intake, we have structured the program over 12 weeks, but we're also going to offer participants the opportunity to do it at their own pace and time for a maximum period of 6 months.
Okay, thanks for that. And I've got one more question.
Sorry, and I can just maybe add to that, Lester. It will be available for totally asynchronous learning, with weekly learning journeys that will guide you exactly on how to pace yourself with video support, and then there will also be on a monthly basis live Q&A sessions with your facilitator on the program.
Thanks for that, Dion. Sonia, I have one more question for you. In your this holds more weight than a postgraduate project management degree? Would you suggest that someone pursue this certification instead of pursuing a postgraduate degree?
Who is offering the postgraduate degree?
No, I'm just saying in general. Would you, if you were in my shoes or somebody else's, would you consider pursuing a postgraduate qualification or PMP?
Can I answer that, Sonia?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Okay, Lester, so it's always good to have an academic qualification, but something like as an example, when we became engineers, what really gave you the or gave companies the sort of safety net is we were all registered by the Washington Accord. So you were a PR.eng. So they knew, doesn't matter what you've learned academically, that from a practitioner point of view, you're following the right governance and you can actually literally do the job. So I think for me, the PMP says you're actually part of the gang. You actually can do the job. Where academic qualification is always fantastic because it teaches you about the job.
To add to that.
Thank you so much for that. So that, yeah.
To add to that, Lester, I first did an engineering degree, and I use about 5% of it today. Then I did certification in IT, so that I could practically code. Then I did a diploma at UCT in project management with a brilliant lecturer, 6 months, postgraduate diploma. Then only I decided to go in and do my PMP. And only when I did my PMP did the penny drop. And it also was a lesson for me through the years. Like right now, I'm busy with 4 certificates. It teaches you that ongoing certification through associate firms or ATPs, and depending on where you're going. And for myself, I'm looking also at the risk management because it sits within the IT infrastructure I work in. There's some data analytics but it scales you, and that's why PMP was my baseline. And it was better than the 6-month diploma, because in the 6-month diploma, we had to do group work, and we literally drew up a project plan, and it was a how-to. But the PMP solidified the knowledge in terms of the practical what we are doing. So from a Simon Sinek perspective, if you want to be a true leader, you got to certify amongst with the organization that sets the standard. If you know your standard, you know your stuff. That's a personal saying I like to project, and it's always been to my benefit. And I'm telling you this also, Lester, as someone that, as a portfolio manager and sitting up reporting into the CEOs, Jacques here with FNB, within APSA, within the CEO of MTN, and if you work within PMOs and you're employing people, that, and that's part of the little salary components I'm going to show you. You are looking for people with their PMPs, and you want to see how they've applied it. It's a big one for employment, eh? Okay.
Sonia, Chris also has a question.
Chris. And Abigail,
I might have to give you a private call because I have a few. Now, actually, I wanted to add on the first thing, if you look at a lot of job opportunities overseas, if you look at Canada, it's quite interesting looking at an academic record, let's say either a bachelor's versus a PMP. And many of them, if I say maybe 75% of them actually says, well, you either have a bachelor's or you have a PMP with 4 years or 5 years experience. They define that line. So even if you don't have the academic side, they would actually choose a PMP with experience above that. Secondly, I was actually introduced quite a few years, maybe about 10 years ago, through a lady called Anne. I don't know if you know her, quite an elderly lady. She offered like a short course in PMP. She was a PMP herself. I don't know if all due respect, I don't know if she's alive still, but I was in production.
She had reddish hair, right?
Say again?
She had reddish hair, like curly reddish hair.
I don't recall. I don't recall.
She's
But she was
yeah.
quite elderly, yeah. She introduced me, and it was sort of in a peak time when I was busy with, I set up a whole new department for mining industry for Sandvik.
Yeah.
And it really opened, it was I think about a 2-week course, but it was sort of on the basis or the foundations of PMP. And immediately after that, I commenced my process to get my PMP myself, because by then I've had probably 5 years behind my back of project management. But it really gave me structure. And unfortunately, I never got the PMP. I got Prince 2 eventually, which, with all due respect, I didn't feel was as suited to me as the PMP was. But and unfortunately, I was moved into management roles, and it's actually my intention now to.
That unfortunately now.
Say again?
Not that bad. I said, is that unfortunately now to be in a management role?
No, I have to say I use on a daily basis. I use all the principles of the PMP, even in my normal. So I do some projects definitely on a weekly basis and a monthly basis, but there's a lot of general management involved as well. And by simply on the basis of the decisions I make on a daily basis, by simply remembering the different processes within the PM block, it makes a massive difference. And how more businesses don't incorporate this in general business operations, I don't understand. But yeah, I'll definitely be looking at my PMP again. I actually registered years ago, but it's obviously been discontinued already. But we'll take it from there.
So there are so many diverse, interesting people on this call. I would like to know who's brave enough to tell me why you decided to come and do your PMP. What do you feel, before we carry on, and I show you some more pretty pictures, what do you think is going to be in it for you? I just want to see if I'm going to validate that properly. Anyone that feels brave enough to try.
Sonia, just for context, the students in this group are on the advanced project management certificate that we offer also as an ATP. But obviously we are hopeful that we can channel them now into PMP certification in future to solidify that international reach.
Okay.
Sonia, but your question still stands. What did they aim to get out of starting, venture into project management studies? Strauss has an hand up. Strauss, you may go.
Thank you very much. I think for me, from an operational side point of view, it's always a project is everything you do. So to learn more in regards to major, if you take on any product or project that you precisely know how to follow, what's the structure to follow, what is the most important with regards to your planning and everything. I did 3 years ago, I did a revamp for the company or the store, and that just mostly triggered me. There's so much procedures to be followed and make sure, and how to incorporate it with your, as a as an operational manager how to work it, and that's why I'm finding it very interesting, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm already starting using it in my kind of business what I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Strauss, I think that what you're saying is really important. Sonia, and maybe just to add about it, the journey of project management is changing completely. You know, just as an example, on MBA, some universities offered project management as an elective on the MBA. Now, the 3 universities that I'm involved in, and one is here and 2 is overseas, have all made the project management the compulsory subject for MBA from next year. And I think project management, because it's so important and because we're going to have to rebuild, you know, it's time to make omelets again. And I think it's almost going to become like engineering. You're going to need a qualification to do a PMP, but you're going to need a PMP to practice. So if I can say the next 10, 15 years where I see it's going to, that's where it's going to end up, because projects are so important, and everything, like Strauss said, everything is a project. So you can't just let somebody have a qualification to know that they're going to be actually a good practitioner.
Can I tell you where project management or PMP was a lifesaver for me?
Please.
When I became a mom. You know, it taught me the ability to structure my time and my kids' time. And do you know that we also teach project management as a subject at a lot of privatized and smaller schools now, including my youngest daughter's school, to teach them that as a life skill, project management is part of everything you do and how to plan for it. You know, like I've recently extended onto my house, the project management into that. And the format in which you do it, yes, you used to maybe use an Excel spreadsheet, and now you use a little Trello board, and the ways in which we do it differ, but it remains the same. Not only the values, but the principles: saving money, quality, trying to do it on time, critical path, and sticking to that. The practical application of PMP remains the same, and I found it most applicable in parenting.
Thanks for sorting that out, Sonia. Now I know why my wife has never done a project management course, and she eats me with project management any day.
Now you know.
Sonia, Tsepo also has a question here, and it relates to the practicality. You know, will I be able to go and do what I've learned after a PMP?
Tsepo, love to hear your question. Did you type it, or are you going to ask?
It is typed. It is typed.
Okay, my apologies. So with someone that has no experience and gets the PMP, it is a demonstration about how serious you are about it. And within the big corporates like MTN, Vodacom, Standard Bank, Iran, ABSA has one. Not so sure about FNB. I didn't actually see one FNB, but there are internship programs that pay pretty well, and the internship programs train people, especially if you've got a PMP. You are shortlisted immediately to go into an internship program. So smaller companies like the company I work with right now, where you have I've elected to move a little bit out of corporate and grow a completely virtual team of about 50. We've got a number of growth things happening right now, and we're upscaling to 150, and it's mostly devs and so on. Devs, product owners, scrum masters, and I manage that team. So in scaling, we also have about 4 graduate roles in which we are selecting people with a PMP certification to come in and learn how to be an agile Scrum Master, but they must, because with the current agile training that you get, not through PMI, I'm talking about other external Udemy and all of those courses, it does not teach you how to do financial management. It actually also doesn't yet teach you all those burn charts and burn up boards and everything, and Kanban and so on. It doesn't teach you as well as your PMP would to do also proper timeline planning. And that's the interesting part of what was said earlier. Project management is changing. We are a little bit agile right now, waterfall agile. We are using the principles across the board, but the PMP is great because it remains a practical way of taking timelines, of using finances and quality controls and applying that practically in real life. Any other questions before I continue?
Thank you, Sonia. No further questions. I think you can continue.
Thank you so much. So lots of benefits to a PMP, demonstrating focus on profession, adding value to your resume, industry recognition, skills and knowledge validated, increasing income potential, expanding your professional network, and increasing your employment opportunity. So here we go, is pay scale. Pay scale is a South African engine that I participated in building, that in which you go and say people with a certification like this, and you will you go and search on PMP, what would be their income ranges? Well, I've just selected the first 4 pages for you. Someone who's got a PMP certification on average earns 600K, whereas it's less if you don't have a PMP certification. All these jobs down here that you see are roles, and there was, I think, something like 40 odd search results. I've just given you the top 4. In other words, they are 2, 3, 4, 7 times 4, 28 top results that I've given you in terms of the income earning. Can you see that someone with a PMP certificate can go into a multiple of profitable type roles? And the PMP certification is one of the baseline checks, along with your matric certificate, that all of these roles the HR departments look at before employing you. So not bad in terms of from an income potential. Would you agree? Pay scale, again, happy for you to go Google it. It's a South African site. It's completely relevant, up to date, and it tells you what people with a PMP certification earns. Any questions?
Thank you, Sonia. That's quite insightful, and it's nicely summarized. Chris says he loves the agile word you used. It's also the first time that I've heard of it, so well done.
Yeah, permission to use it, Sonia. We've got to use it anyway because we're always going to be agile.
Did you know that if it's applied poorly, you can become fragile? You.
Yeah, we've had that conversation extensively this week. Thank you.
The agile becoming fragile, I know.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so your PMP certification is very clearly gets you more opportunities. It helps you to get a job. It's going to help you get promoted. It will help you get a raise, and it will help you get recognized. And here we have a scaling from PMI that show you the weighting. So it's, you know, when you apply a weighting, in other words, 1 to 5. So the most people that we got feedback from says PMP helped them to get more opportunities. These are stats related, and it was done in 2020, of doing a review of people that had done their PMP certification, and maybe just to position it a bit better, and what impact it had on their lives. So again, more opportunity. Feel like I'm overkilling the whole value of PMP, but I really want to tell you that it's a lifestyle baseline certification. Okay. Now, the requirement for you to apply for your PMP exam, I'm just going to quickly skim over that if I may. So you need to have a secondary degree, high school diploma, associate degree, or global equivalent, or a 4-year degree. You need to have project management experience. So you can't just go into project management. You need to have knocked up a couple of hours. So you can do an entry-level PMI certification, and I'm happy to send the URL for that for the PMI certification site, or I'll go look it up for you quickly now. But in order to write your PMP certification, you need to rack up a couple of hours. So doing a course like this adds on to your PDUs, which then also adds to your validation of being able to become certified. And then you are able to have 35 hours of project management education through courses like that, like this. Okay, so now we've come to the end of why is PMP good for you? Before I start talking a little bit, because I thought the whole purpose of saying guest means I talk a little bit about myself and what's happened since I got my PMP certification. Yes, no? Tell you a couple of interesting stories. Go Bushman-wise and set up a fire and crack out a couple of this, that, and the other that happened in the past. That might be some valuable experiences you have.
Looking forward.
Okay. So since matriculating, I have, in the last couple of years, traveled quite a bit extensively after project management, and all of it thanks to projects. Even setting up, I've got a little farm in the Free State, guys. And me as a person, me personally, I've told you a little bit about my passion for delivering value and legacy, and that can only be done through project management. Anything technology, INTJ profile, which is, if any of you want to do a really cool assessment of who you are and what you are about, which helps you inform with your career choices and fits into your work career, there is a site called 16personalities.com. Sorry, www.16. So you do a free evaluation. It tells you what your Myers-Briggs are. Mine is I'm an INTJ, and INTJ is someone that's an architect. No sense of humor. Everything is maths and science focused, and very poor creative, which is the funniest thing because my kids are both creative. And then the project manager needs to come out, and we've actually got a Kanban board up at home to help make sure that chores get done by everybody. So that being said, for weekends I go and drive a tractor, while all the gentlemen here have had a midlife crisis driving a Porsche. I gave up on my bike 2 years ago. Might get another one, but for now I'm driving a tractor and in the Free State. The other things I'm quite passionate about is I love going up and down to Namibia, big hiker, avoid malls like the plague, and lots of time with the kids playing Pokemon, Among Us. I drum, I doodle, I horse ride, and I'm a full-blown coffeeaholic. So that's a little bit about the weirdo that you see in front of you. Sound quite eccentric, doesn't it? I am. Okay, so this was my Standard Bank team. I was the project manager for them a couple of years ago, and in order, we had quite a diverse team here that we were doing the payment systems for Africa. So in order to do team builds with them, all of us went into a weekly basis to play cricket. So Dion, can you believe it? But actually, I've become a very good fielder, and I played cricket indoors for Standard Bank for a period of 6-7 years. Just for everybody who doesn't know, Dion knew me in my school days, and so he might be surprised because I was very unsporty at the time. So project.
I'm impressed. And the Proteas need help.
Oh, I think they will be helped if I stay away. Can you see there's a lot of Indian and Pakistani members on my team? I selected it that way. So what you are seeing here is 1 or 2 South Africans and a multi-diverse international team. And the way we got together and came together to get things done was, so half of them were from Pakistan, half from India, 3 of us from South Africa, and we went into playing cricket for 3-4 years as a bonding experience, and that was our team building. Rowing the dam, just something interesting else. You need time to think. you need, as a project manager and a PMP certificate minder, you need to plan, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And planning is incredibly important. So when you do your time planning on any project, please make sure that you allocate at least a 15% of your project time to you or in your team absorbing knowledge and planning. Because I have found that in comparison to a lot of other project managers that I've worked with, worked for, had work for me, I have an 80 to 90% success rate in meeting my deadlines because of planning. So working across Africa, this was all stuff that happened while I was doing project or portfolio management type activities throughout Africa. And my PMP certification allowed me to, like for instance, this gentleman here is heading up PMI in Kenya. So as tall as you might think, the what was that that wonderful tribe called? You know those tall people, those tall guys that jump? He was such a shorty. And we had such a wonderful time working together. He's no longer at the moment part of PMI Africa, because sadly 2 years ago he passed away. But what a wonderful experience. Okay, again, going through, this was in the Durban branch. I've traveled with the branches to go and set up, and this was a training of project management that we did up in Africa. Just a number of opportunities to go throughout Africa, everywhere. This was in Malawi. You would recognize the environment is looking like Lake Malawi, and this is the passion that people in Africa have for project management. Absolutely amazing. Couple of ladies from the project management East London team or branch at the time. So PMI has moved away from branches. Who of you knew that? Probably not anyone. But the strategy is for the last couple of months has gone a clustered approach, and we're actually now rolling out the clustered approach. And what a clustered approach means is it's taken on the entire decentralized model of realizing that the competency of project management and PMP certification is borderless completely. There's no regions, there's no branches going forward from next year onwards. But again, showing you that project management or PMP certification and training can bring people together. Again, just a little bit more, be active. Can you see the ants in the pants, or pants in the ants, or having lots of... So one thing that I can tell you, my son-in-law, he's standing here in the middle, the blue shirt. My daughter, this was 2-3 years ago. A lot of people that have done PMP with team builds and all that showcase that they are very active people, and it's good to be active. Very, very good. My son-in-law did his PM certification last year, and he's also a little civil engineer and doing extremely well with that. So the people that are in PMP certification take on a network and mind share and knowledge share much more than you do in any other profession. A little bit more training, a little bit. Okay, guys, what of this picture? This is serious stuff we do. We've got lots of responsibility. The hours are long, I kid you not, but you can have fun. Don't think that because you are in a very serious accountable position, and because the coursework is very tough, and because the requirements are high, that you cannot have fun and clean fun. There's no need to drink a bottle of whiskey before the exam, as an example. Not that
Sonia,
I don't.
why is that guy looking so nervous, Sonia?
Thinking, this is crazy lady. What's the problem? That's one of my lecturers at the Hilton Hotel. We were presenting, and they were asking me if I'm about to jump over the wall because we had a very it was a very tough project we were working on, and I was doing lecturing and training in between that too. So any form of transport will do, whether it's the scooter or the donkey or whatever that gets you there. This is how I do project management now. We've gone from, this is what we call a client agile journey. And what it does is you take the client journey and you extrapolate that into epics and user stories. And these days you build your roadmap from that. This picture was from when I first started doing more Kanban style project management training. Okay, just a little bit forward, presenting at a very fuzzy picture of me, but presenting at Women in ICT. Again, certification opens it up. Again, a reminder to you, please take some time out and go climb a couple of mountains. This is my daughter climbing around. She's doing her PM certification at the moment through UCT Online UFS. Please don't shoot me. And that's my son-in-law. He's also 2 years. So you can see we've kept it in the family. PMPs, traveling Africa again, getting to do a couple of cuckoo stuff, part of the PMP and IBA and SUXA. This is actually the SUXA team. This little lady here, she's just gone over and set up a complete agile discipline in New Zealand. This is Lucy. She's the she was the president for IBA up until 2 years ago for 8word. And work-wise, who recognizes this airport?
Home sweet home.
Yeah, boy.
Sonia, while I have the microphone, Chris has inquired about how often do you need to renew PMP certification?
Every 4 years. And what you do is you just go in and you update your experience and say, I'm still using it, thanks. Here's a, I think it's a $20 or something fee.
Thank you for that.
Pleasure. Keep it up, otherwise you have to go through the whole recertification again, and it's a pain. Don't forget to hike. Don't forget to love your family. Don't forget to go places, and PMP definitely does that for you. And don't forget to network. It is incredibly important. We don't get to do this in person so much anymore, and I really do hope that it opens up. But where you have started here with UFS, go out there, join the communities, attend the online webinars, and network people. Use your PMP to practically network in your life. Make it your professional Bible. Okay, more. All of these, by the way, are pictures that were taken with work. Let that sink in. Yes, these were all pictures I took while working. You say, but how? Well, travel. PMP, you're implementing stuff, you're doing stuff. Doesn't mean you don't have to have a life while doing it. You don't have to wait till once a year that before we actually, yeah, this is me fishing for those that have fishing. We do not have to, okay, I have to confess, this little rock climbing we did was the day after a major implementation, so that's strictly not work. But I'm trying to encourage everybody, keep on having a life that your PMP certification enables for you. And lastly, this is the volunteer management team in Johannesburg. Some of the other members are in Cape Town. The PMI team, a volunteer management team, are very diverse and super friendly. So we really, really want you to come and sign up. It feels like a home away from home being with them. And I have an awesome, awesome team that I get to work with. These are just 2 of the members, but as you can see, we are, there's no barriers, there's no drama, there's no pretense, it's all about serving the community. And in serving the community, going places, finding places, and keeping on the move. Why? Because I've got ants in my pants. That's it from
Sonia, great stuff. Final question here. We're almost out of time from Tubor. And he says he's in possession of an ACFE. So I assume that's the Fraud Examiner International qualification.
Yes.
Will it be an advantage for admission to the PMP?
Yes. When you do your PMP sign up, certificates like that is closely aligned to the PMI certification programs will earn you additional credit points and experience points to be able to push you through for acceptance into your PMP certification.
Thank you for that. Any final questions, comments for Sonia from the audience?
Sonia, if I can just ask maybe a final one. Something I think that a couple of, they most probably just shy. A couple of people that's not been practicing, but obviously they do project management and they're now getting into it, and they took the big leap and did the APM. And you mentioned something about the entry level.
So if you are doing project management in informal, to give an example, when I finished high school, there wasn't money to study or anything. My first year after high school, I worked. And I went I did part-time work at a little engineering firm in Kimberley. And they sent me into to live with the Bushmen for 6 months because they were doing surveys. And I literally, because I could speak Setswana and Afrikaans at the time, with them, and then coming back to a little town called Warrington, I was doing work that required volunteering. I'm struggling to think of a better term, but I worked for like 500 Rand a month, like peanuts. And that volunteering work and the activities I did, the schedule I kept, the cost allocation I did, the team management, anything in which you are getting community-based work and experience certifies you towards having experience as a project manager. Because project management is now seen, and project management education, and we do a lot of project management in a lot of the informal referring to very poorest of the poor communities. We're passionate about teaching girls to code, as an example, but a portion of that is some project management basic skills that we teach with the coding. So to go back to your point, show the additional volunteering that you do, and it will be beneficial towards you getting accreditation for project management. Project management community is very open-minded, organization, very open-minded. Any kind of volunteer type work is actually to your benefit and recognized towards getting your certification.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you. Jodine said thank you for providing us with valuable information, much appreciated. And Abigail also, that is Chris, sorry, says thank you for a great presentation. Sonia from Farzana now says, I play more of an administration role in project management. Does this count as project experience?
Yes. Something I forgot to mention is when I did my first project management role, for the first month I was at an engineering company. I didn't have experience. They put me on switchboard as reception. So when I signed up at UCT and I asked, well, you know what, I had some project administration experience the first 3 months before I switched to project management. Immediately the answer was yes. When I went in to do other certifications at PMP, after my PMP with PMI, and there were periods of doing business analysis or solution architecture with components of project management, team lead activities, the answer was yes. So you don't have to practice as a strict project manager. You can be doing project management activities in other roles that certify you for your PDUs.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's fabulous. Because the amount of hours that you have to prove you have spent in a project environment is quite extensive.
Absolutely.
Tabor is saying, I'm looking for a brochure now from the business school. So 100% Tabor. As per usual, I will leave my email address in the chat for you if you're interested to join the distribution list for the presenter slides of this week. And in that email, Tabor, just ask me for more information on PMP certification. And if I don't have all the answers, I'll make sure that we'll ask Sonia all the tough questions. Sonia, from our side, thank you for a very, very unique perspective that you've given us on the Project Management Institute International. You know, in South Africa, these organizations seem so far away, but we literally have people like yourself on our doorstep that humanized, I think is the word that I would like to use, the profession today, and it was a very, very good representation of your professional body. So much appreciated, and thank you for shedding a light on the topic and answering all the questions so professionally. And as an authorized training partner of the PMI, we look forward to collaborating in future as well.
One question. Does it entitle me to get a Griquas scarf now?
You're going to struggle to find one in Bloom, but I'm sure we can organize something, eh?
Thanks, everybody. It was a privilege.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, Sonia.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, Sonia.
Thank you. Bye-bye.